Well, hey, it's Dave Dubeau. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about what are the disadvantages of joint ventures. Now, I'm a big fan of joint ventures. There's lots of benefits to them, but there are also a few drawbacks. So that's what we'll be talking about here today. All right, on this video, we're going to be talking about the 4 biggest complaints I hear about joint ventures, how to overcome those challenges. I'm also going to share with you a ninja strategy for getting you 10 to 15 joint venture meetings booked in less than an hour. So stay tuned for that. I'll also share the story of a client of mine. His name is Joe. He followed this process and raised $450,000 just like that. All right, so the first main complaint or objection I hear people saying about doing joint ventures is, well, Dave, if I bring on a partner, that means I'm going to have to split the profits from my deal. I'm going to have to share my profits with somebody else. And I don't want to do that. I'm used to doing my own deals, controlling my own destiny, taking care of business, and getting all of the rewards for myself. I don't like the idea of sharing stuff, sharing the profits with another person. All right? And fair enough, I get that. However, it's a very limiting belief, and here's why. If you focus on just self-financing your deals, sooner or later, you're probably going to run out of cash and credit, and you're going to hit that wall, and you're not going to be able to do any more deals. Then you're going to be sitting on the sideline, waiting months, if not years, to save up the money or to build up the equity to be able to pull out some money to do your next deal. Now, on the other hand, if you work with joint venture partners, you can do an unlimited number of deals. Now, sure, you're probably going to have to share the profits. You might have to do a 50-50 split, but that's okay. What would you rather have? Would you rather have 2 or 3 little deals that you have 100% of, or would you rather have 10, 15, 20, 100, 200 deals that you've got half of? It just makes sense. Financially, it just makes sense to bring on joint venture partners. So if you've got that mindset, I'm going to highly recommend that you give yourself a little shake, because number one, that's damn greedy. And number two, it's going to hold you back. You need other people's money if you really want to scale. The second objection I hear from people about doing joint ventures is, well, Dave, right now I'm doing my own thing. I'm my own boss. I don't have to report to anybody. But if I bring on a joint venture partner, then that person, I'm going to have to report to them. I'm going to have to show them what's going on with the deal. I'm going to have to give them monthly or quarterly or semi-annual or annual reports. I'm going to have to meet with them and tell them what's happening. I don't know if I like that idea. You know what? Fair enough. I'm self-employed. I love the idea of being only responsible and accountable to myself. But here's the reality. When you bring on a joint venture partner, it's going to make you a better, more professional, and more profitable real estate investor, because you're not going to be able to be loosey-goosey and keep your joint venture partners happy. So you're going to have to be more professional. You are going to have to do all of those things. Regular reporting, meeting with people, sharing, sending out regular payments to those joint venture partners. It's going to make you up your game. You're going to have to play at a higher level, but that's going to make you a much better and a much more profitable real estate investor. And the third thing I hear people saying about doing joint ventures is, well, Dave, it complicates things. I mean, setting up a joint venture, I've never done it. That means I'm going to have to bring on lawyers, and we're going to have to create joint venture agreements, and we're going to have to do all of this stuff that I've never done before. There's tax consequences to doing this. We're going to have to do different kinds of bookkeeping and all this kind of stuff. It's a lot more complicated than what I'm doing right now. And guess what? Yes, it is. The first time. The first time, you're going to have to set all of this stuff up, but once you've got it up and going, then it's just a matter of rinsing and repeating. It's like anything that you've done. Everything that you've done so far the first time was challenging and difficult, but each time afterwards got much, much easier. It's the same thing with doing joint ventures, because after you've done your first joint venture, you've got a template for a joint venture agreement. You don't have to spend all of the money to recreate that from scratch. You've already got it. You've got your power team members already in play. Your lawyer knows what he's doing or she's doing, and she's set up and ready to go. You've got your systems in place for doing your reporting. You've got your systems in place for sending out your payments to your joint venture partners. It's so much easier to just clone that for your next joint venture. So yeah, is it a little bit more complicated? The first time it is, but after that, then you've got a system. And the fourth objection I hear about doing joint ventures is, well, Dave, if I do joint ventures, that means I'm going to have to go out and find joint venture partners. I'm going to have to convince people to invest in my deals. I'm not super salesy. I don't like the idea of, twisting somebody's arm and making them invest, or browbeating people, or coming across as a used car salesperson. I don't like that idea. And hey, you know what? I get it. Been there, tried that, failed miserably. I hate it myself as well. But good news is there's a much, much better way. But first, let me show you a quick ninja trick for getting 10 to 15 investor meetings booked very, very quickly and getting your first investors on board within the next couple of weeks. So here's how it works. What you want to do is you want to create a list of 15 to 20 people who you know quite well. These could be friends, family members, coworkers, business associates. You know them, they know you. Now, the criteria for this list is that they're likely to do you a favor, okay? And that you've got their cell phone numbers. And then the next trick is, I want you to text message each one of those 10 to 15 people and say something like this. Hey Joe, it's Dave. I put together a new presentation on what I'm up to with real estate investing. I'd really love a second opinion about it. Could you do me a favor? Would you mind taking a look at this with me for a few minutes and just giving me your honest feedback? All right, you send that message out to all 10 or 15 people, and chances are 8 or 9 out of 10 of them will say yes. And then the next trick is you set up a meeting with that person and you go there and you present your opportunity like a practice run. You're not actually trying to get them involved in the deal. You're just walking through, ideally, a PowerPoint presentation on what you're up to with real estate investing. And then at the end of the presentation, you ask them for their feedback. Okay, so Joe, what did you think of the presentation? They're going to give you some feedback. Take it or leave it, take it with a grain of salt, but thank them very, very much for their feedback. And then as you're wrapping things up, you say something like this. You say, hey, well, Joe, thank you so much for taking a look at this. Now, I know this probably isn't a good fit for you, but do you know anybody else who might be interested in these kind of deals? And then zip it. And then Joe's going to do one of 3 things. Joe might say, well, you know what, Dave? Yeah, I'm not really interested. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who'd be interested in this. But hey, keep up the good work. That's still a win for you. Even though they're not going to invest with you, they're not going to refer anybody. You've got a practice run under your belt, and Joe has watched your presentation with an open mind. So if time and circumstances change, Joe's much more likely to end up investing with you. Then the second option is Joe might say, well, hey, wait a minute. Now that I see what you're doing, I might be interested in investing in your deal. Score. You might have your investor right there. It happens quite often. Or third option is Joe might say, well, yeah, you know what? My brother-in-law, Fred, might be interested in this kind of thing, in which case you can get a warm introduction to Fred. All right. So that's just a kind of big picture overview of how the whole ninja process works. Now, if you like this whole ninja process idea, I've got a full training all about this. I'm going to put a link in the description below. You can click on that. That'll get you the full training. It'll get you scripts. It'll get you different resources there as well. Now, I just want to share with you how well this process can work. Our client, Joe Cruz, did this, and he sent out 20 invitations, 20 of these ninja invitations. He got like 18 or 19 people to say yes, and his first 2 meetings were with couples, husband and wife situation, and both of the couples said, yes, we're in, and they both want to invest between $200,000 and $250,000 in his deal. So Joe followed this process, raised $450,000 for his real estate deals. Just like that, you can do the same thing. Well, did you like that idea? Well, if you did, then you really want to know exactly what to do and how to do it when it comes to attracting joint venture partners and raising capital. So I've got the perfect resource for you, and it's free. It's my book, The Money Partner Formula. You can find it. I'll put a link in the description below, or you can get it at investorattractionbook.com.